Hey, I'm Boy Soda, and you're here chatting with Milky. My artistry has evolved in ways that I always hoped to, but like didn't know how to get there, if that makes sense. I think there's a moment in kind of the creative journey where you're like replicating a lot of things that you've heard and that you love, but you are aware you haven't quite hit this like original pocket yet. And I think I've always been trying to get a song closer to music that feels intrinsically me and that feels very honest. And this album is the first time that I kind of unlocked the whatever the inner gates inside of me are to access those kind of truths and songs that I was maybe scared to write about because I didn't want to get them wrong, and just like the refinement in my taste and kind of knowing what I want to hear and making music that I would also listen to has been a big part of finding this. So it was honestly a relief making this album because you're kind of pulling this blind thread, hoping that you find something original and find this thing that people always talk about in the artistic journey of just feeling like you got it right. And I feel like with this album, if you've never heard my music before and you hear this project, you'll know me, you'll know Bray like quite intimately at the end of it. And that's it's like a real achievement, I think, that I'm very proud of, because it's like a lot of soul searching involved to get that. Went through it, and yeah, beautiful highs and lows, the real process. Like when people like trust that process, you're like whatever, but it's a cliche for a reason. There's this real illusion of urgency and having to keep doing projects, and I just don't think it's very reflective of how we make art. Like sometimes you need to leave and be inspired by things or go through certain life events to have things to talk about it all. It's an honor to be able to take a second, and like a real privilege to be able to take a second to process things and then slowly make a bunch of songs that turned into an album. Like it was really like a 2-year process, and I think there was some songs that came out that were real glimpses for me in the direction that I wanted to go, but like not quite there yet. And ironically, I like wasn't feeling 100% myself around the times that songs like Company or Merlot. And you're always like, no, like artists like Frank Ocean can wait, and people, it's like you don't have the same fans as Frank Ocean. It's like people are waiting at the ready, but at the same time, like you don't have 100,000 followers, so it's also not like people are like waiting for your next stuff. So what's another year gonna hurt if it's just to get it right? And I'm very holistic when it comes to kind of my career, and I'm very artistry first. And I think I would prefer to sit with myself and do a really good job at like getting to the bottom of some things and for them to be portrayed accurately than to try and rush that and just release music for the sake of releasing music. Like we're in such a high turnaround attention economy kind of thing, and it's just like I care about the music leaving my body representing like real things about me. And this album is very intrinsically the things I believe, the way I love, the way I think about things or handle things as a 27-year-old. Like, and I just you can't like force that just because you think you need a project. You have to like make that because you need to make it, and then accidentally have a project. So yeah, glad I took a second, because I don't know what would have come out. And I think people respect that more, and like music's so accessible and easy to make now, and it's easy to make a song and not be like deep in your artistry journey where you're like presenting like necessarily, and it's not that like you don't make amazing music when you're younger, or people, everyone's journeys are different. But I think in a world where it's just turnaround content, like short form, it's like music is a different thing, and it has to be respected as a craft and treated as like a delicate thing, because it's like I don't know, the truth is like a very subjective path to like getting that right or being accurate, and only if it's accurate. So yeah, I'm just very steadfast in things happening when they're supposed to and arriving in my life when they're supposed to, and happen with the album. It all feels very divine timing. I think Soul Star for me is just another word for like intuition or North Star, and I think that was a big focus on making the album, like from a process point of view, and also for like what the album stands for. It's a lot of songs about love and grieving relationships, or grieving people after they've passed, or relationships with my family and the culture, and breaking kind of generational cycles, but also having disconnects in culture because of that. And how do I honor the people that broke those cycles, i.e. my father. That was a topic I really wanted to write about in A Father's Heart, and being able to talk about that was like not something I've maybe been able to do until now. So being able to unpack that was just really related to wanting to lean into the songs that were like difficult to write, or the topics that you're like scared to write about. And it's like, you can always just write another song if you get it wrong. But I think deep down I also knew that writing those songs meant I had to like address some things and like open up some cans of worms, and doing that willingly for this album was really important, and is the reason that it's a very intrinsically me project, like the most transparent, this is me in every fine detail that I could offer right now. And I think it's also nice to be at a point where I feel like my skill level and my understanding of things, or my artistry and understanding of vocals or production, is all an accumulation of every song that came before this, and is the reason I have the tools to like be able to do that properly, or in my view do that properly. So the album was really just an effort to speak about my existence like truthfully, and hope that people find themselves in those and see themselves in those songs. Just to trust myself. Like the whole process of making the album was very ran very parallel to like me like not really knowing who I was, and feeling like quite an empty version of myself, and building myself up through the process of making the album because of the songs that I was writing and the questions that were popping up for me, and trusting that process to kind of pull me to the other side of the tunnel, where you don't even see the light, and you're just like, this feels bad right now and everything feels wrong. But I think if I just keep attempting to write the things that I feel, that's a great place to start. And it just ended up being this roadmap for my emotional self-progression, my artistic self-progression. And it's very funny how related they are, your artistic journey and your like human experience at the same time. You can't like detach them at all. And yeah, the songs that live inside you, they will stay in your body until you're ready to address them. And I'm very relieved that I was at least brave enough to attempt them with this album. I think we were making a lot of songs. I live with the executive producer, Finbar Stewart. He did most of the music across the album, bar a few songs. And I live with him, so it's this very unique experience of when I need to figure something out, like I have someone there to write a song about it with. And it's also happens to be the producer that I was kind of just most excited to work with and kind of understood me the best. So this process of understanding how each other work and hunting for these sounds and learning what I didn't like or what I did like, and following that trail was a real part of that process. And just like you're like, wow, like perfect place, right time of my life to live with someone who can also be a vehicle or help me contribute to the vehicle of things that are gonna be the reason I have anything to say about like these years of my life or these mid-20s or whatever. And being able to unpack that was just a real what's the word, like feels like like a privilege, or this like happy accident, because it allowed me to make a lot of songs before the album even got made, or the songs that made the album kind of started coming out. And getting to these decisions where we're like, we don't want to compress the vocals as much, we need it to be a very dynamic album, we want it to breathe, we want musicality to be important, like long intros where there's no vocals, it's just the instrumental, or really playing with structure where it's not your normal pop structure, like really if it's the first time, it doesn't happen the second time, but then it comes back as the B-side of the chorus. Like really nerdy stuff about song structure and wanting it to feel live and like it's always breathing. And I think that's also what sets it apart, because everything is mixed into rectangles at the moment and just squashed, so it has that kind of that pop feel. But the records I listened to were recorded onto tape or recorded at a time where they weren't compressing vocals that much, and they were just letting things sound how they sound. So I think making the album in a way where before it was recorded, it was already what it was, and then bringing it into the studio, and we went to the Blue Mountains for 2 weeks to finish it, was this real natural progression where we're like, yeah, like this is the kind of the DNA of the album. Like these live sonics, these jazz infused moments, these weird turnarounds, these moments of unison. Like we really wanted the lyrics and the music to be self-aware of each other, and that was just a result of having the luxury of living with my producer. I got to a point where I just accepted that melody is like the thing I hear first, and a lot of the songs we were like, yeah, the song's done, we just need to write the words. Like that's how finished and complete they felt without even having any words, because the melody felt right, and even the phonetics of whatever jargon I was saying in those freestyle melody takes had the essence. So it's like putting words to that and matching the phonetics so it feels the same, it's in the same pocket of what comes out naturally, was something that we found very beneficial to the album. And very interesting too, it's like if you freestyle and your mouth is making certain shapes in certain rhythms, you try and write a different word, and if in the freestyle you're kind of saying E or R, you kind of have to write a word that matches that thing that you did off the top of your head, because for some reason the feeling is associated to that particular combination of that vowel sound in that pocket. So it was very interesting to get to those 2 weeks in the mountains where we were going to finish the record and not have words for songs, but just feeling so ready as a writer and an artist to write them in the session when we were finishing it. And like Little Obsession was, I don't think it had many words when we got there. It was just like we wrote that in the mountains, and even that was divine timing, you know, like it was just in the right place, no phone. And I think I loved handwriting a lot of my lyrics for this too. Like for the longest time, people were like, oh, can we get lyrics for this song? I was like, I don't have them. They're on this random piece of paper, like under a desk somewhere. And even that felt analog and like on brand for the project. I have had the pleasure of kind of finding my creative partners and people that I really respect and work really well with, and we have this willingness to just make cool shit. Little Obsession, I filmed a lot with Bailey Watts, who, you know, has done a lot of my prior music videos, been there since day dot, like my first ever music video, and Adam Saunders from Killer Creative, and you know, all those cats over there, Darwin Schultz, and just these amazing creators and people who are amazing at their job. The visuals have been a really important thing and something that I value a lot, and also just have so much fun creating. So being able to have these crazy ideas and just wanting things that look how the music sounds, you know, like not too focused on them having to have stories and plots like a music video, but just these beautiful cinematic sound cards that match the music. And it's like being able to have long form videos to still kind of scratch that itch of wanting something to stand with the music, but also having a lot of beautiful short form content. It's not something that I've been very good at in the past or like wanted to do, because I've been a real artist about that. I'm like, like you wouldn't make this person do short form content, but it's been a real joy, like you know, thinking of those ideas and watching those things come together. I really, like, if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably just be doing visuals or making visuals in some capacity, because I really love that. So feeling like I got that right and starting to feel really cohesive with that was a real pleasure, and just the result of trusting myself again. You know, I really saw a lot of the covers being black and white from the very beginning. I just wanted a lot of movement in the visuals. Like Little Obsession has movement because we're on the back of a ute. Blink Twice was a lot of movement because we had moving plastic behind it, or just really like attention to detail. And I thought that was like a niche thing for a second, and then, you know, Dochi projects came out and like Leon Thomas came out, and you got all these amazing cohesive threads through everything and little, you know, symbols that keep appearing. And I think I was just very inspired by people that build worlds like that, or Tyler the Creator, he has a uniform for each rollout, a different kind of character, and being able to pull all those things together just to really not leave anything unanswered and give people as much information as they can, and to be in order for them to understand the music was a high priority for sure. I would listen to Little Obsession, because that's just intrinsically the most. That was the one that kind of does the DNA of the album. I would listen to Hit the Road, and I would listen to Never the Same. Actually, and Selfish. You have to listen to Selfish too. That one's just like, that's the one. Everyone who played on the album is also playing at the shows, essentially, as much as we can possibly get that happening. Sydney will particularly have most of the musicians that played on the album, and they're like the reason it sounds the way it does. We picked the best people for the job who happened to be our friends, if it was live drums, live BVs, string quartet, live horns, and gave them the space to, with direction, but, they're good at their jobs and they're good at they're masters of their instruments. So we gave them space to kind of, have imprint on the album in many ways, and they're a really important part of it being the finished product that it is. So at these shows, like the important people, the people responsible for the music, will be also playing it to you. So that's the thing I'm most excited about, and yeah, it's nice. It's like so keen to play these songs live, and some of them we've been playing at shows for like a year or two anyway. So it'll be nice to have them in context with the rest of their family on the album. I think it's what really solidifies an artist for me. Seeing someone live, being able to feel their energy, being able to really have a chance to communicate what you've written in a very physical and visceral way is a real kind of non-negotiable connecting of the dots for me. I love seeing an artist and you're invested, but then you see them live and you're like, oh, I really, really believe you now. I think especially because this album's so live and so musical, it's just so important to play it, and that's kind of what it was made for. It sounds like it was made in the same place because it was, and we just want to bring that essence out and for people to hear the life that's kind of like pulsating through this album because of these people and these players. And yeah, time to just do that in different spaces. Like, I'm so excited to do it.